being broadcast around the world. Thanks everyone for joining us on the Solar Objections live action role play. I have the pleasure to introduce a big UFC fan, fellow poker player, Solar Pro, and my friend, Solar Joe.
What's up, everybody? Let's go. We are back on the Solar Objections live stream. Another week and another superstar Solar Pro on here. We got Taylor Armstrong from the Solarpreneurs Podcast. He is a beast in the solar game. He's one of the top guys I know. Mr. Nice Guy, Mr. Killer, Mr. Babyface Killer Assassin. Taylor Armstrong, man. Thanks for being here, man.
Yeah, man. So hopefully maybe 10 years I can grow a beard like yours and they won't be saying Mr. Babyface Assassin, but I need to get some of your beard. Give me your next beard trimmings or something.
I want to be the baby face, bro. That's the killer look right there, man. Let's go.
Yeah, well, pros and cons.
Yeah, everybody watching, you know what? Taylor Armstrong is on the show. He came out to talk to us, give some value to our audience. We're doing a little interviewer, turn the stages on him a little bit. But if you guys want, get in the comments, say what's up to Taylor. Go throw a question in there. We're going to do some interview style Q&A here. Maybe throw an objection at him. Maybe see if he wants to answer or not. But if you guys, like always, if you guys want your name shown, go to the bottom of the post, click on the StreamYards link, and give us permission to show your name. Or don't you say Facebook user, which is fine. If that's what you want, you be Facebook user, we'll go along with it. But if you guys want your name shown, go and click on the link there. So Taylor Armstrong, we are going to do a little Q&A interview. We're going to go to the comment section. I'll ask a little bit about the Solarpreneur, about you. Is that cool?
Yeah, let's do this. Super stoked to be on here. And yeah, you came on my podcast. But yeah, this is a big deal, man. So let's do it.
Taylor, I got some questions for you. 1 second. Looks like internet's going in and out here. So I have questions for you. Just, before we even get into it, where are you and your accent from? Because everybody wants to know. They hear your voice. They probably know a little bit, but go into more detail, man. Tell us about yourself, where you're from, and your accent.
Okay. Yeah, believe it or not, that's probably the number one question I get when I'm out knocking doors is like, where are you from? Where's that accent from? And yeah, the most common guesses are Minnesota, Canada, Wisconsin. Those are probably the top three I get. So I don't know what happened to me. But yeah, I am from Utah, little town called Kanab, Utah. There's like 3,000 people there.
All right.
So shout out to my Kanab Cowboys. We probably don't have any on because, pretty low probability out of 3,000 people. But yeah, so I don't know. Yeah. But yeah, so that's where I grew up, small town. So I don't really know what happened with my accent. My best guess is that's just because it's like, a rancher's town and not too many people there. Maybe it's like a country accent or something. Who knows? And yeah, I still got some of my best friends from there. We talk all the time, and maybe I just pick up the way they're talking. So I don't know, man. But that's where I'm from, is Utah, and guess that's where my accent was from. I did do like a 2-year church mission in Colombia.
Okay.
But I know it's not a Colombian accent. Otherwise, I'd be speaking Spanish. So I don't know.
It's a mixture. It's a mixture of different accents, huh?
Yeah, maybe it screwed me up somehow, but I like that question.
It separates you from everybody else right away, right?
Yeah. Sometimes people don't trust me because of it, believe it or not. But
oh no!
But I think more than often people are curious. Like, what is
it? Can't be as bad as a New York accent with trust, though. That's sometimes people don't trust the New York accent. That's where I'm from.
Yeah.
All right. So we got some comments here from the audience. Guys, go ahead. Throw some questions. I'm sure you guys always want to ask Taylor a question about the podcast, how to start it, what kind of experience he has. Get in there. We'll get some questions in. But Lauren Benker wanted to say, I love his podcast.
Thank you, Laura.
Out there. We got another Facebook user said, Babyface Taylor Armstrong, which is a compliment.
Just shaved. Thanks.
What's up, fellas? Don't know who it is, but what up?
What's up?
All right, guys, go ahead, put in the comments. All right, so you're pretty famous for the Solarpreneur podcast, but it doesn't start by itself. You had to do it, get started with it. Touch the beginnings. How did the whole Solarpreneur podcast start, man?
Yeah, good question. So yeah, the way the podcast started was just from pretty much not wanting to suck as bad. Okay, because I was never like the all-star rep, probably like Solar Joe was. I was never the guy that started off closing tons of deals. I was the guy that didn't know what he's doing. Still feel like that sometimes, still trying to learn a ton. So that was the, I guess, motivation behind the podcast, is I wanted to just learn from the guys that were having tons of success. The Mike O'Donnells, the Ashton Buswell was another guy that was in my markets that was just closing a ton of deals. So guys like that, I wanted to hear what their secrets were and what they were doing. So I guess the reason it started was because I started hitting a few of these guys up, and I was with a smaller company. So we didn't have anyone that was doing like insane numbers of deals or having like massive success. We have some decent guys. So I'm thinking, all right, if I want to take it to another level, I need to reach out and see what these other guys are doing, because success leaves clues, right? I need to see what's going on with them. And so I started hitting them up. Ashton Buswell was the first dude I hit up. And I'm like, hey man, do you mind if I like took you out to lunch or dinner or something and just picked your brain and just asked you some questions? And I was thinking he would be like, oh, sure, no problem. I love free food. So if anyone wants to hang out with me, I'll be there anytime there's free food. I was the guy that was going to every single college event just because I heard there's a free slice of pizza there. So in my head, I'm like, man, this has got to work. I get him food. There's no way he's going to reject me with that offer. And I get his message back and he's like, hey, Taylor, no, sorry, I don't really like to share company secrets. But thanks for reaching out. And that was like the response. So I was devastated. I'm like, no freaking way. He just rejected my free food. He's not going to come share his secrets.
Hear me?
Yeah, like, come on. And so some time went on, and I was always a big fan of podcasts. I was listening to, all the podcasts about sales I can get my teeth on, all the Grant Cardone podcasts, all that stuff. And so I started thinking, what if I started my own podcast? Because they seem to be getting all these guests on there, these high-level people, and no one's telling them no. What if I started my own podcast? And so I sat with that idea for like a year and a half. I wanted to, and I think I might have even recorded an episode or two, but I'm like, nah, this isn't that good. I'm not gonna like actually do it. So it was that way for like a year and a half. And then finally, I ran into another dude. His name's James Swiderski, who some people might have heard of. Yeah. And he had his own kind of consulting going on. So I bought one of his trainings, and then we just got to talking, and he told me that he was starting up a solar podcast. And I'm like, oh, I've been having that idea for a long time, and I'm actually want to start one really soon myself. And so that's how it initially started, is he kind of gave me just the kick in the pants to get some episodes rolling. And I already knew guys I wanted to get on there to interview. So sure enough, once we actually started it, I went back to Ashton and a few other guys that turned me down. And I just kind of like reframed the question. Instead of being like, hey, can I like pick your brain for my benefit? I made it about them. Like everyone wants the WIAFM, like Brian Tracy says, what's in it for me?
What's in it for me?
So I just thought, okay, what can I make it? How can I entice these people? What's in it for them if I bring them on the show? And that was it. So I reframed the question. I'm like, hey, Ashton, I've got this podcast I started, and we're featuring people on it, just experts in the solar industry. And it's working as like something you can share and also can use for recruiting. So I'd love to like feature you on the podcast. When's a good time that we could just hop on a Zoom, and then I just ask some questions on the podcast. And sure enough, just like that, he this time he didn't turn me down. He said yes. And that's it. Everyone likes talking about themselves. Everyone likes being featured. So that's how it works. And I'm sure it's the same for you, Joe. I mean, if you give people a chance to come on and talk about themselves, people love that kind of stuff. So yeah, that's how I started the podcast.
Yeah, man. I just reached out to 10 to 15 superstar, like not just any guy, like superstar solar pros, and they all want to get on because they all want to give value. They all want to just solar pro community. They're all just a giving kind of crowd though. It's always like cool people, good conversations. So how many shows now have you got done, man? How many years has it been?
Yeah, it's been about 3 years now, and we're on episode 100, I think 87. So yeah,
Wow,
been
187.
been cranking them
You
out.
said 4 years? I missed it.
I think a little over 3 years, I think.
Dang. So I
Yeah.
think I have like 70 or 75. Like, and that's not even close to where you're at still, man. You got 100 more. It's crazy, bro. You're killing
Yeah.
it.
Appreciate that. Yeah, most of them came, in this last year because that's when I really started ramping up. And I know we are just talking before we started, but the key with this stuff is, keeping it consistent, because I was kind of off and on in the beginning. I'd be like, okay, 3 months on, then I'm going to take a break for a little bit. So yeah, I mean, really the past year we've been cranking them out. That pretty much is, twice a week as often as possible. So yeah, it's been
So,
super fun.
bro, you know what? A lot of people don't start doing the solar podcast or doing live streams or even putting themselves on social media because they're not ready yet or it's not perfect yet. Can you tell us your experience in the beginning? Were your shows perfect when you first did it?
Oh no. Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's a good point. They were terrible, dude. You go back and listen to some of the first episodes and probably don't make any sense. And even to this day, sometimes I still feel like an idiot. Like I, go on tangents, don't know what I'm saying. But yeah, that's the thing. That's just done is better than perfect. And people forget about that. That's why it took me, like I said, a year and a half to even start it, because I thought it had to be perfect. I thought I had to be like the world's greatest speaker. I thought I had to know what I was talking about. And that was just the feelings I had, because even to this day, I know there's people better than me in solar. Like I'm not the number one solar rep out there, but I'm just focusing on what my strengths are, and that's getting things done. I was the number one solar podcast because guess what? There was no other solar podcast at the time. So if you're the only show in town, then I mean, no one can compete with you, right? So that's the way to do it. Is you just gotta just be telling yourself just that affirmation: done is better than perfect. Done is better than perfect. And just get things done. Because yeah, I think it holds a lot of guys back, just because we're not all like, the Mike O'Donnells of the industry. We're not all going to be the number one rep, but we can, just by sharing, what we learn and what we're our journey. Because I think that's what people love, is just the story behind it. Basically, the podcast is what I learn every week. I talk about things I learned in our trainings. I talk about experiences that I had out there on the doors. And by sharing it with other people, that like solidifies it in my head too. Because the more you can teach it,
Yes.
the more you're going to know it. So I'm sure you feel the same way hopping on these live streams. It's like when you're speaking it and teaching it, it just solidifies it more in your head, which is
Oh
awesome.
my God. And it's like subconscious, because the more you keep being a sponge, the more you surround yourself with people that know a lot, the more you're just going to pick up. And even if you're not like studying it, just listening to it over and over and over again, it really puts you in a different place, man.
Yeah. And
I
for
get
guys
it.
listening, yeah,
And it's easy to make mistakes. Like I've said so many stupid things and like whatever. I just don't ever like worry about it, because if it's the worst thing in the world, hey, that could go viral. If it's the best thing in the world, that's good too. So I just hate to be somewhere in the middle. I just don't want to be. I want to be either the worst thing ever or the best thing ever. That's what I'll be fine.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and what's crazy, like for people listening, you don't have to necessarily like go post on social media every day or start a podcast. I think one of the best things that solar reps can do is just go start like participating in the trainings. Like that's something that helped me a ton early on. Is I would go to my managers and be like, "Hey, I learned this cool thing from this training I saw online. Is it okay if I do a training on it?" And then I would get up there and I would do a training. And then I learned so much, just because number one, I'm putting in the time to actually prepare the training. So it's forcing me to like go deeper than I probably would have. And then number two, just like that teaching aspect, you're learning the more you can teach it, and it's going to make more sense in your head as you teach it. So I think that's a good little secret for people listening, is even if you're not going to post on social media or do, a podcast or YouTube, whatever, just go teach your teams, go teach the reps around you, go share what you learned from this live stream today. And then that's going to make it solidified in your head and help you just really digest the information better.
You know, I noticed too, editing. When you start editing videos that you watch and train, like you have to keep like listening to it over and over again too. So you're actually learning as you're editing too.
Yeah, exactly.
So I remember my first show, man. I literally just went on the live stream because somebody audience said, "Hey, you guys should do a role play." I said, "Okay, who wants to do a role play?" I got Ahmad Salama on there, and I was absolutely terrible. So anybody wants to go watch the first episode from last year, episode 1, you'll see like I had no idea what I was doing. I just went live, but Ahmad crushed it. I mean, he was so killer through, and he closed me, and he went overcoming objection. He was like tone. He was like, that's where I was like, wait, it's not about me. It's about the guests. And if I can just make sure the guests are able to give their value, then we have a good stage, a good, platform.
Yeah, no doubt. And yeah, I'm sure you've like, I was pretty scared to even come on your show, Joe. Cause I'm like, man, I'm gonna be getting like 50 objections that maybe I've never even heard in my life. So yeah,
nobody's even throwing objections. Nobody's even throwing there. They're all just praising you. They're like, oh, Taylor's awesome. I love Taylor. So nobody, come on, guys, get some pressure on Taylor here. Throw a question, throw objection in. He wants to get the pressure, right, Taylor?
Yeah, make me look like an idiot. See who make me look like an idiot.
Bro, you have no idea how many times I said things like I call Tucson Tucson over and over again just by I'm reading it. Like, wait, no, that's
yeah.
So we got some more comments we'll get in here. Eddie Fernandez said, congratulations on the podcast. Thank you for sharing a very important sales skill, the pivot.
Boom. Thanks, Eddie.
And then Taylor Armstrong is the man. All right. So Eddie Fernandez has a question for you. So did you have that moment when you first realized, hey, I'm doing it? If so, could you share it with us?
All right. Good question. Like that, Eddie. Yeah, for me, that was when I think I won like my first big sales contest. Like I said, I was at a smaller company called New Power, first starting out. And we had this contest called the Ironman. It's the Ironman competition. And the winner got this like huge belt, UFC style belt you put on. And then you won like a truck. It was, a lease truck that you got to keep for 6 months or a year or something like that. And then like a trip to Hawaii. And I just remember I was always like, it got to the point, this was like a year and a half into solar, maybe close to 2 years. And I was like a pretty good rep. I was above average, but it got to the point where I'm like, man, I want to like just have that breakthrough and at least be like known as one of the top reps, if not the top rep of my company. And so I decided I was just going to go all in at this competition. I think it was like a 6-week competition. So I hired a coach. I just started writing my goals like crazy every day. I just tried to manifest it. I was like, I am the Iron Man. I am the greatest rep at my company. Just wrote this entire list of affirmations every day and just like spoke them as much as I could. So I started doing that routine every morning, just writing the goals, writing things that I was manifesting. And then I had a coach that was holding me like insanely accountable. And we even did this. There's this app. It's called Stick. I think it's STIKK. And this app, it's pretty cool. This is a good little hack for people that want to win competitions or just work harder. It comes from Tim Ferriss's book, actually, The 4-Hour Chef. Just kind of funny. But what this app does is you put money on the line. So it's like a accountability type app. So you go in, you put whatever you want to do for that day or whatever your goal was or whatever you're going to commit to doing. And then you have 2 ways to kind of hold yourself accountable. Number one, you can put an accountability buddy on there. And then number 2, you can like donate that money. So basically you're putting money in on the app to hold yourself accountable. So for example, if you want to like go to the gym 5 days in a week and you didn't go to the gym for 5, you only went 4 times, then let's say you put $100 on the line, then you would lose that $100 to either your accountability partner on there or lose it to like a charity that you hate. So there's some charities on there that of all different, types. Some of them probably people would hate. Maybe it's like, if you're super liberal, then there's like donate to the Conservatives of America or something. Or if you're super conservative, it's like donate to the, I don't know, Kamala Harris fund or something, right? So it's like stuff like that. So that was a huge hack for me. I put like quite a bit of money down on this app and I had my coach, he was like my accountability partner on it. And I said, okay, if I don't knock a minimum of 6 hours every day or be in 3 appointments. That were kind of like my standards. I had to knock either 6 hours for the day, which isn't even like, you know, a ton. There's guys that do more than that, but I was used to only knocking like, you know, I was going out probably 4 hours. So I'm like, I got to bump up the level of competition. So I made those commitments on there, and I bet my money on it, put my money where my mouth was. And then I just went out and super committed, did all those things, ended up winning the competition, won that truck, you know, won the trip to Hawaii and everything. Yeah, and it was probably closed like, I think it was 6 weeks competition, and maybe close like 20, 25 deals, something like that. So it's good. Obviously, there's guys that now it's crazy the level. You get like Mike O'Donnell and guys that are doing insane numbers, things like that. But I had never done anything to that point. So for me, that's where my mindset kind of shifted from, okay, I'm like, I'm like a top rep now. Like I can do what these top guys are doing, at least at the level that my company was at the time. I'm like, okay, I can hang with these big dogs now. I can talk, you know, in the meetings. I can give my feedback and input, stuff like that. And for people listening, I would like definitely encourage that. If you haven't hit any big numbers yet, if you haven't had that breakthrough moment, just commit your next big competition, or I don't know, maybe it's the next month or something. Just commit to go super hard for that month. Maybe hire a coach, maybe get Solar Joe coaching you, or maybe gets, I don't know, just someone to hold you super accountable. I can be your coach on that stick app if you want, and just go all in and see what happens. Cause that's the thing. I think a lot of people have the potential, but they're just afraid to really put their, you know, put that level of effort in for a period of time. So that's why it's cool. You got guys doing blitzes now. And I know people aren't like, they're not going to knock 8 hours a day, 365 days a year, but maybe just commit like a couple weeks, just go all in and see what kind of results you can get. Cause I think everyone has it in them to hit some massive numbers, or at least much better than they've ever done. They just have to commit, and then they have to, you know, put some money down online, or have someone holding you accountable. So for me, that was the breakthrough moments. And that's where I kind of felt that I was, you know, having above average success at that point.
It's nice to have that prize, a truck and a Hawaii trip. I remember when I got like salesman of the year, I got like a plaque, like there's just a glass plaque. That was my, yeah. I wish I got a car. That's what I should have got. I haven't called back this company out.
Yeah, I know. Should have been with us, Joe.
Yeah. Facebook user said, cool, period.
Sweet.
Keep it coming, guys. Hey, Taylor, appreciate you, man, taking some time here. Got some more questions for you, if that's cool with you. I know I'm switching roles. I know you usually be the one interviewing, but I want to ask you some questions. I actually got this question just recently, and I wanted to see how you would answer the same question. How do you pick your potential guests when you bring them on the show?
Cool. I love that question, because I think a lot of people think I'm just picking the number one, the top guys in solar. But it's not so much the top guys in solar. It's more guys that I think they have something unique to say. So for example, someone that's really good at, maybe they're not closing a ton of deals necessarily, but maybe they're really good at follow-up. Then I like to get people that have a unique story to share, and come on and really just tell their story. Because I'm sure you see the same thing, Joe. The episodes that get the most listens, downloads, typically, they're not always like the top guys. They're not always the guys closing the most deals. It's more the guys that have something interesting to say, or that have like something dramatic. You think of like those, you know, National Enquirer magazines where they have like the headlines, Britney Spears, like dad owns, or like all these crazy headlines, because people are attracted to stuff like that. So I try to look for guests and just make a spin on it. Oh, how can I make this so people want to actually go check it out? How can I make this that people will be intrigued, and add some like drama to it? So I'm still like figuring it out. But yeah, I mean, for example, we had a guest on just last week. What's his name? Blanking on his name. But yeah, the kid was from Brazil. Oh, his name's Christian Morone. Kid from Brazil, and he had a super cool story, because he came to the US. He didn't know a lick of English, and he came out here and started doing sales. So his story was that he came from, you know, not too much in Brazil, didn't have a ton, and just left everything behind, came out here not knowing English. And then he had to figure out how to have success in sales with like zero English knowledge. So we started out in pest control, but he told me that always he just, was outdoors in broken English saying, hey, super cheap bug sprays. And that was pretty much like his pitch at the door. And he had a ton of success just doing that. So it's things like that, guys that have a story to tell, guys that have something unique they're doing. And then, yeah, we get on like the top guys too. Like we have another guest coming on. I think you'll have to get this guy on too, Solar Joe, but his name is Chance. He closed 68 deals in a month, I think it was. So I think, as far as I know, that might be the industry record, unless you've heard more than that, Joe. But so guys like that too, we get those guys on. But anyone that has something unique, some spin they can put on something, or a unique story to tell.
Do you go by people like personally? Do you ask other people? Do you know somebody? Like, how do you actually get that first introduction, or how do you get the first know who do you want to pick?
Yeah, a lot of it's like word of mouth. Like, for example, I know you now, Joe. So if you came to me as like, hey, I've got someone that has a super cool story, you'd be a great guest on your podcast, then I'm probably gonna have him come on the show.
I got one.
Yeah.
How about Jake Hess?
Okay, yeah, we need to get him on. I've asked him to come on the show, man, but you need to like lock down a date with me because he's been blowing me off for a while.
I'll nudge him. You got him. We'll get him on the show.
I know, it's fun. I've seen him. I see him like all the time down here in San Diego, but we've never done a show for some reason. So got to get in with that. But no, that's a good point though. Like guys that can help me make the connection, because it's kind of like calling a lead or something too, or getting a referral, right?
Yeah.
If you just contact them cold, then you're gonna have to like explain yourself. Hey, Joe told me you'd be a good guest on the show. But if I can have you make the introduction and maybe do like a group message with both of us. Hey, Jake, this is Taylor. He has an awesome podcast. You'd be an awesome guest on it. Then Jake's going to listen to me way more than me just like reaching out to him cold. Right. So I think that's the best.
I got the hint. I'll do
it. So
hey, so why don't you put the camera on, record it, and do a live stream, and then put it on the podcast? Why not just do both?
Yeah, maybe I should. Yeah, I mean, to be blunt, it's because I don't know. I guess, like I said, I'm nervous about the live streams, man. So
how often do you really edit the podcast though? It's pretty much long format anyway, right?
Yeah, pretty much. But
so
yeah,
that really editing anyway. You might as well go live too. You'll get maybe interaction with the audience too, and get that all in there.
Yeah, that'd probably be good. And yeah,
actually, you guys are making me look bad today, guys. Come on, get in the comments, get in the questions, say what's up, throw an objection in there. But I got a bunch more questions for you, Taylor. That's cool, man.
Yeah, let's go. Maybe I should have promised, like, I don't know, $1 million to someone that stayed till the end of the show. Get some more people on this.
You didn't? You didn't offer $1 million?
I mean, yeah, I might have it in my safe. Let me go. Should I see what I got in my safe here?
Well, I know you got that truck in that Hawaii trip. So, all right, bro. So a lot of people want to do what we're doing, right? They just think it's too complicated, or they can't do it. Or can you just talk a little bit about like, what if somebody wanted to start it? What's the process for you? How does it start? Is it too complicated, or something that people that want to get into it should?
Yeah. So I think a lot of people think of it as the excuse I just gave you if you're not doing a live stream. Oh, it's too hard. I'm going to mess up on there. I don't know how to work the technology, because those excuses I just gave you, Joe, that's pretty much the excuses that people have with starting a podcast and like not doing it, right? Because that's the thing. People are scared. People think it has to be perfect, like we're talking about. So yeah, the process, anyone can get started on this, pretty simple. The softwares they have now make it just insanely easy. So I first started on this software. It's called Anchor, Anchor, and anyone can go on there, and you can have zero knowledge, and you can go just hit record on your phone or computer, literally record a podcast. It's going to show up on Apple. It's going to show up on Spotify, pretty much all the podcasting platforms. So that's the easiest way to get started for people that maybe want to start a podcast, a show. Just download this app. It's free. It doesn't cost anything. Anchor, you can go get started on there and have your show launched within like a day or two. So that's the easiest way to do it. I've upgraded it now. I don't use that anymore because once you get going, there are some better, kind of like hosting platforms and things like that you can use. But I think for anyone that wants to just have an easy way, that's the best and easiest way to get started. And then, I don't know if you wanted me to go like more in depth with like editing or anything, Joe. You want me to get into that?
Like talk about like just your mindset of when you were, if you have none of this stuff started and you were going to start, you're like, I'm going to do this. What are those like first 3 steps that you would suggest somebody do?
Yeah. So I mean, just do it. Like Nike says, just do it. Like I said, I thought you had to have
I want to make sure I hit that because that is such a big point. Like right there. It's like don't expect it to be perfect. Just do it. Doesn't matter how good it comes out because it's going to get better no matter what anyway. You need to start from somewhere anyway. And that's the biggest thing I would say is the biggest advice you can give. Just do it. So I just want to make 100%. Sure I exclamated that.
Yeah. Love that. Yeah, just do it. And I thought you had to have like the fanciest mic. I thought you had to have all this like technology. And that's the thing. I don't know any of that stuff. I actually bought like 3 podcast courses on how to start your own podcast. Probably spent like 2 or 3 grand just buying courses to like teach me to podcast. I went through like probably half the courses, didn't even necessarily do it with these courses were saying. What it took was for me to just make it as simple as possible. Cause again, I was having all these excuses. So, I just downloaded Anchor and finally was just like, screw it. I'm just going to hit record, see what happens and post it. And that's, that's really the best way for me. And since then, I guess just to go in like, I don't know, some stuff, once people do start their podcasts or if you want to, it helps a ton to have like an assistant. They can help you all this stuff. Cause especially when we're closing deals, that's the only thing I would be cautious of. I don't know if it becomes a distraction to you ever, Joe, but like sometimes I'll podcast when I should be out like closing deals or knocking doors. So if you are going to start a show or something, just make sure, don't sacrifice like your closing, don't sacrifice your prospecting, still do those things and then go and get help to like edit the podcast. Cause I could spend all day on this podcast probably. But I have, my assistant now. All I do now is hit record and then all the files go to her. She does all the editing. She like chops up in the clips, does all the posting. So I don't have to touch any of that. So that would be, I think, step number 2 is just make sure you're spending your time where you're actually making money, right? Because we can hire someone. Like I have my assistant. She's from the Philippines. She does all this stuff for me and she does a lot of other stuff in solar too. Stuff like reaching out to HOAs, things that I know my time isn't best spent doing. She does all these things. So I think that's another super important exercise for people that are listening to the show. Go and write down all the tasks you do. Even if you're not starting a podcast or something, go write down all the tasks you do in solar or just all the tasks you do in your everyday life. How much of that could you outsource to someone else? Like, are you doing your own laundry? Are you doing your own cooking? Are you doing your own grocery shopping? How much time is that stuff taking? So I think that's a super important exercise. Go through all that. And then you can get assistants. I have an assistant in the Philippines. She'll handle like a ton of stuff that I could spend hours on. And I pay her, guess how much I pay her? It's like $300 a month. And she does all this stuff for me. And she's working like 20 hours a week for me. So it's super cheap, and that's like, good money for them too over there in the Philippines. So don't think I'm screwing them over. That's like,
how do you know they're going to do the work that they're supposed to do? Just because consistency, they've done it in the past, they're going to keep doing it? Or is there like a risk in the beginning that you're choosing the wrong assistant?
Yeah, there is. And I've gone through actually, I think 3 assistants I had before this. So it can be tough to find the right one. So if people do want to do something like that, I think the best way is you can go through agencies. There's one called Virtual Staff Finder. I think it's just virtualstafffinder.com. So you can go through agencies and you can tell we can put basically what you're looking for on there. Someone that knows, I don't know, go high level, or someone knows whatever softwares you're using in solar. You can put that and then they'll vet them for you and they'll find people that match up with your descriptions and give you some to interview. So I think that's a good way. Saves you time because it's all about time. You don't want to spend hours and hours finding an assistant. So I think that, or getting referrals from people that are already having success. Like if someone, I guess here's an invitation. If you want, if someone wanted it, I could have my virtual assistant. She knows people that are doing similar things and people she trusts. So that's another way, is just kind of word of mouth, get someone that is hopefully will do what you want. But yeah, just like anything, it's hit and miss. And then you got to know how to like say, all right, this isn't working out, and move on to the next one. Because I hung on to a couple way too long when they weren't doing like the work they needed to. So
the last thing I'll say about the podcast and live stream is that we're not getting rich off the podcast and live stream. We're really trying to give value, and it's like something long term. Can you talk a little bit about that before we move on from the podcast? Like, you're not making money, you're just trying to give value, build something, right?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I didn't make a dime from the podcast for probably 2 years. Yeah, I didn't make anything. And yeah, we're going on 187 episodes. I'm still, we just barely are kind of launching some products with it, which we can get into later, but launching a few things and have some like kind of affiliate deals worked out with people where now I'm making, a tiny bit, but it's never going to be enough it's never going to replace like solar money or anything, as you know, Joe. So yeah, that's what it is. It's to give back. And honestly, I feel like the value comes to me because I'm sure you've gotten a ton from the show. Like, do you think you've closed more deals because of stuff you've heard people say on the live streams?
Bro, so much I've learned. Yes, 100%. And more leads, by the way, and tactics and training. Like, there's so much involved with it too, right?
Yeah, no doubt. So yeah, even if I didn't I'm making a small amount now, but even if I made nothing, the value that's come just from being able to connect with people like you, like, Jake Hess, like Mike O'Donnell, like I have your phone number now. I literally called Joe the other day in an appointment and I said, Joe, can you help me? I want to, I want to help this guy do a solar refi. And he answered, help me talk to the homeowner and all that. So it's like, how cool is that? You can build connections with these people, and then it's going to give you way more value than, the nickels and dimes that you're going to make maybe if you do sponsors or something like that. So yeah, it's been super valuable that way.
And the guests are getting a platform where they're getting an audience to learn who they are. And I love it when the guests come back to me and I made this connection, we got a deal. And that's like another level of value we get to give too, right?
Yeah, no, it's super cool. Just being able to, rub shoulders with the greats.
All right, we got a couple of questions here, but there's one objection. You want to get into it? You want to hit an objection?
Sure. Let's see if I can handle it. Let's do it.
If Facebook user said, get this a lot. So he wants to preface this first. All right, are you ready?
Okay.
Here's the objection. I'm the homeowner, and I tell you, I don't make same-day decisions.
Cool. So here's what I would say. I should have watched more of these, prepare myself.
No, it's no big deal, bro. Just whatever you would say. If a homeowner say, I don't make same-day decisions, what would you say to him?
So here's what I would say. First thing, always agree, right? Always agree with them. Oh, perfect. Yeah, I wouldn't do anything same day myself. That'd be crazy. So what I'm doing today, Mr. Homeowner Joe, is I'm actually the application guy. I'm the one that submits all the applications for the neighborhood. So actually what we need to do today is just figure out if your home even qualifies. Because right now, even if you said 100%, I want to do this, I want to have them up there tomorrow, there's still a process. So we still have to go through the process. Unfortunately, I wish we'd come out and put them up tomorrow. So all we're going to do today is submit a few forms and go through a couple qualifications, then send someone out to check the home. And then if it is approved, then we'll go from there. But in the meantime, I'm going to get you everything I said in writing, so you'll be able to review that. I'm going to go through everything, and we'll be in touch answering your questions. And then we'll just submit these few forms and see if the home even does get approved. So that way, if there's even a decision to be made. Does that sound fair, Joe?
Yeah. Where do I sign? Close.
Cool. Right here. Boom. That's how I do it.
Boom.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, obviously preface it, I guess, with that objection too, is just like prefacing it. Like sometimes, I'm sure you've talked about this in the live streams, but the more you can like set these up and put your golf ball on the tee, it's going to make it way easier, because I don't get that objection usually at the end. If I was going to get that objection, it would have come in the very beginning, because I'm telling the homeowner the exact steps that we're going to go through. I'm prefacing everyone. I'm setting up the deal. So for whoever just asked that, make sure you're like setting up the deal like that, telling them from the beginning, here's the process, here's what we're going to do. If everything makes sense, we're going to be submitting an application. We're going to be fill out a few forms and see if the home qualifies. So good way to preface
whoever asked that question said, very nice. Thank you, gents. Thank you, Taylor.
You're welcome, kind sir.
All right, so Carlos de Valencia jumped in. He said Taylor Armstrong is. I think we did another one. Taylor Armstrong's the man. Okay,
my man, Carlos.
Carlos, there's more questions. I'm trying to read it to make sure it's a good one or it makes sense. Here's one. I think it's more related to price, but I got one shot to close the deal. They never call back. Okay. It's also like if you're getting that kind of question, I don't make the same decisions. You also have to have the structure so that they're not thinking that they're even making any decisions. They're just thinking micro yeses, right?
Right. Yeah. And a good book for that is Pitch Anything. If people haven't read that, it's more just about framing. So that's a whole kind of rabbit hole you can go down, is just framing the deal, right?
Yeah.
And setting the expectations. Because I think that's the mistake that people are making. They think they need to overcome the objections, but if you're framing it right, you're doing your takeaways and pullbacks, then it's way easier to get past all this stuff. You're not even going to have most of these objections. So
I said, thanks. I need to frame it and set better expectations. There. See the listening. Great job, Taylor. Appreciate it, man. Yeah. All right. So I got some more questions. We got some more time. Taylor, we good? A little more minutes?
Yeah, let's do it.
I want to talk a little bit about you, man. A little bit about how you got into solar, what you do before solar, what you're doing now. But my first question is, what did you do before solar? How was this transition?
Cool. Yeah. So before solar, I did pest control, and people that have listened to podcasts, maybe they've heard all this stuff. So apologize if I'm repeating stuff for podcast listeners.
Hey, it's a different audience, bro. Don't worry about it.
Yeah. But if you're not listening to podcasts, then come listen, because you should already know this story.
There you go.
The quiz. But yeah, what I did before solar, I did a couple years of pest control. So I started in door-to-door in 2012. That was when I did my first summer of pest control. And then I did a 2-year church mission down in Colombia after that. And then I did another summer of pest control. And then the year after, I got into solar. So this was, I think 2016 that I got into solar.
Okay.
And yeah, as far as the transition goes, it's kind of funny. Actually, one of my buddies that did the same mission with me, his name's Dallin Pancari. I tried to recruit him into pest control, and he was like, "Nah, I'm gonna go try this solar thing. I've got buddies that are making pretty good money. I'm gonna go try that." So I was like throwing out all the stops. I'm like, "Dude, you crazy? No one's making money in solar." Like, I knew at the time, 2016, I don't know, people were making money probably, but I'd also heard some like horror stories about, you had like the whole Sun Edison going bankrupt and crazy stuff like that. So I was like bringing all this stuff up. I'm like, dude, companies are going bankrupt. No one's getting paid on deals. You're not going to make any money. And then he wouldn't listen though. He's like, no, I'm just going to go try it, see how it goes. And if it doesn't go good, I'll come do pest control next year. And so he went and did it. And at the end of summer, we compared our bank accounts, just kind of how much we made in the summer. And he made like 30 grand or something that summer. And then I showed him mine, and I made like 10 grand just doing pest control. Granted, I was never like that great at pest control, so I wasn't, the greatest pest control salesman. So after that, he showed me his bank account. And then what really got me though is I asked him how many hours he was knocking, and he's like, "Oh, I'm only going out like 4 to 5 hours a day, and then the rest of the time we're just kind of in appointments in people's homes." And in pest control, for those that have done that, you're out there grinding from 10 a.m. to 9 p.m. So it's just a grind out there. You're doing that the entire summer, 4 months. And so when I heard that he made like triple the amount of money I made, and he was knocking half the hours, I'm like, okay, there's got to be something to this. Like, I got to go see what's up with this. So yeah, just started in solar after that in 2016, and had the rocky start. Yeah, I told the story on the podcast. People listen to the intro of my podcast kind of goes through this. But yeah, I went out there with like $50 in my bank account. I was donating plasma, so I had, I guess you probably can't really see in the video, but I still got my scars from donating plasma, because that's the only way I had to make money. I was a music major at my university, So I had no time to get a job. So I was out just donating plasma, making my $30 per plasma donation for
Are you
sitting.
serious? You're donating plasma?
Yeah,
That was your career?
yeah, I was a professional plasma donator. That was my career back then.
That is an amazing
So,
story, though, man.
yeah,
And look where you are now, man. That tells you a lot.
yeah. So yeah, that's how it went. And rocky start. Yeah, it's funny. I was like the personal chef for my buddies out there. I didn't have money to buy food, so I was literally like cooking their food just so they'd let me eat some of their eggs and bacon and stuff in the morning. And that's how
Wow.
I survived for like the first couple months. Cause yeah, I was slower. You gotta wait till install to get paid.
Yeah.
So yeah, I didn't get paid for a couple months, but was out there just being a chef and knocking doors for a while. So that's how it started.
Can you talk about like your personality? Like you're known as a super nice guy, and so a lot of solar pros or sales pros think you have to be like a shark or aggressive or a mean guy. Can you talk about how you could be a nice guy and still close at a high rate?
Yeah, sure. So yeah, that's something. Yeah, to be honest, I got made fun of in high school. This was like I got bullied for this stuff is because I was too nice. People are like, Taylor, you're too nice. All you do is smile. And I would just, yeah, people would like make fun of me for smiling too much. So that brings me back to my high school days. But then I got into sales and that's what I did. I just smiled always, like in pest control, in solar, when people were being, jerks and just slamming doors on me. I was the one that was just always smiling, like, okay, have a good day. And yeah, it doesn't always work. I think now I've learned that you got to like react to the different personality types. If people follow Ian Wentz, he does some cool trainings on this with like different buyer types, things like that. So, but this is always my, I guess I would call it my strength is yeah, I'm just always smiling no matter what the objection is, no matter what people are throwing at me on the doors. I'm pretty much always smiling. So, yeah, I guess it's being nice, but anyone that's been with me too, I smile, but I don't leave, right? So, I'm a nice guy, but I'm never going to leave the door. I'm never going to leave the home until I'm going through every, solution possible with the homeowner. So that's the thing. I think that's how you can make it work, being a nice guy. Okay, I'm not the world's greatest closer, but what I do know is I'm always going to smile in every objection and I'm always going to be persistent no matter what happens. So for the nice guys out there, that's what I would suggest. Just use it to your advantage, right? Be nice, but be super persistent. Grant Cardone talks about this in his closer survival guide. That's one of his like rules for closing is always smile through objections. Always have a good attitude. If you can have that good attitude, people are going to be attracted to it. So I think that's how you do it. And there's a book actually I just got done reading. It's called No More Mr. Nice Guy. And that's a great book too. So he calls it nice guy syndrome, but it's guys that just pretty much let people walk all over them. So I think you can still be nice, but don't be a nice guy. I think there's a difference. You don't want to have that nice guy syndrome where you're letting people walk all over you, where you're letting people tell you what to do. And for me, like, I feel like I can be, nice, pleasant, have a good attitude, but some things I'm doing to, I don't know, just like for me, I go to the gym every day. I'm taking my Brazilian jiu-jitsu classes because, yeah, I want to be
Nice.
nice, but I don't want to get beat up, So, like, I want to be known as a nice guy, but I still want to be seen as like, okay, this guy's like big. He can still, I don't know. I'm not going to be able to beat him up super easy. So, so hopefully that's what people see. Just be
Walk
nice,
tall
but
and carry a big stick.
yeah, exactly. So be
I,
nice, but don't let people walk all over you. That's what I would say. And be persistent.
and that structure is so important because you're not putting pressure on a homeowner, so you don't feel aggressive, you don't feel like you're being salesy, and you don't feel like you're not being super nice. So if you have a right structure and a system to the close, you can feel really friendly and nice the whole time, right?
Yeah, for sure. And then just being assumptive too, I would say is another thing that can go hand in hand with it. I think everyone knows this, but just whatever you do, be persistent and be assumptive. Because I think there's a saying, I can't remember who says it, but for every two people you lose for being assumptive, you're going to close 10 more or something. So just keep that in mind. Actually, yesterday, as I was out knocking doors, I had someone that got super pissed because I was being too assumptive. I tried to get in his house. I said, hey, here's what we're going to do. I just have to fill out a form and then I'm going to come back. Where's a good place to sit? Do you want me to take my shoes off? I didn't ask him for an option, right? I just said, we're going to fill out this form. Where can I sit with you? And he got all pissed off because of that and like said, get off my property. So I lost that one. But then after I talked to 2 more homeowners, did the same thing, closed the next one same day after that, just from being assumptive. So that's another thing that can go hand in hand. Just make sure you're being super assumptive and persistent in your closes and in your prospecting.
You probably wouldn't have got the other homeowner anyway. You just save yourself time doing that anyway, right?
Yeah, for sure. It's gonna
So
save
what are
you.
you doing? Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, yeah, probably will save you time because most of those people wouldn't close anyways, right? They're not
So
gonna.
speaking of closing, what are you doing? It sounds like you do a lot of in-home door knocking. Are you doing any virtual phones or anything else?
Yeah. So like we were talking a little bit before the recording, Joe. Obviously during COVID was doing, 100% virtual for a while there. But yeah, I like to do it in home as much as possible. My rule is if it's more than like, I don't know, an hour drive, then I'll usually do a virtual. Anything an hour or less, I'll drive out to, just because I know guys are really good at closing virtual, and I could get my closing rate a lot better. But for me, you're never going to be able to get as good closing ratio virtual than you are face to face. And the reason why is because they can just hang up on you. They can stop the Zoom call. They can stop, whatever method of communication you're doing. Super easy for them to stop. But if you're in their house, sitting on the chair, sitting at the kitchen table, then you can make that personal connection, and it's a lot harder for them to like kick you out of the house, or you can be that much more assumptive and just close the deal that way. Because being assumptive, in my opinion, it doesn't work. It's still, great virtual, but it's not going to work as good virtual versus in person. So yeah, I would say right now I'm like 90% in home, 10% virtual. Then obviously I'll get like those deals where I don't close them the first time, and then I'm doing the follow-ups and close them on text, closing them on the phone. So yeah, I get a handful of those, but I pretty much always try to shoot for, if I can, the in-home close, if at all possible.
So the assumptive close is a great tip, and everybody listening and watching should definitely jump on that. Now we're talking about in-home, actually going to the house. So you have any like for newer guys or just getting their feet wet door knocking? Do you have any like tricks or tips or strategies that you can help a newer door knocker get out there, start getting some closed deals or at least appointments set?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, so a lot of these things, I know you've done a live stream with Danny Pessy, and then I think you're getting Taylor McCarthy on too.
Yeah.
But those guys, yeah, they're great resources for door knocking stuff, and I've learned a lot from them. So go follow guys like that, Sam Taggart. But yeah, the strategies I use is just a lot of what I was just saying, just being super assumptive and then trying to get in the home. I think this is something that I do that's a lot of people don't do, is they just book the appointment on the doorstep, right? But if you can get inside the home, they're that much more committed to hearing you out, and it's going to buy you way more time. Because I see guys struggle to like, they'll get to the point where they're booking an appointment, but at that point, homeowners sometimes will be like, okay, well, yeah, I don't have time. Just come back. They try to get a bill on the door. They're like, oh, I can't find it. I don't know where it is. Let's just get it next time. Then they don't get that because they're being rushed. But if you can get inside the home, then people are going to give you, way more time. Like I said before, you bought yourself time because it's a lot harder to get you out of the house when you're inside the house. So I think that's the strategy I use. Is I'm just like, okay, we got to fill a form. This is how I do it. I carry on these little appointment cards. Should have brought some as an example, but it just says, name, just like a lead form, right? It has name, email, phone number, average bill, kilowatt usage. So I say, oh, so Joe, we just have to fill out these forms with the homeowners, and then they just need to make sure of 2 things. Number 1, that you're the homeowner, which you said you own the home here, right?
Yep.
Cool. And then number 2, you have to be spending over like $60 to $70. You guys pay at least that, right?
Way over. It's like $200-$300
Oh, wow. Is that a quarter, or is that monthly?
every month in the summertime. A little less in the winter.
Oh, geez. Yeah, it's gotten high. Yeah, I know everyone's seen it go up higher. So yeah, right now, like I said, I don't know if the home's even a for sure good candidates. So we just fill out these forms, and then before I come the next time, they're just going to make sure that they can fit enough panels up there to produce what you're using. Because if they can't, then we don't want to waste your time either. So I'll make sure of that, and then assuming they can, I'd pop back by, and then we go over the actual results. and make sure this is something that works for you. Does that sound fair?
I love that you get in the house. And that's one of those baby face things that might help you out, be able to get in the house kind of thing. So, hey, that's more skill set for you to use. Do you think that's something that helps you get in the house, or do you think it should work for pretty much anybody if they say the right things?
Yeah, no, I think you have to have a reason. Like if you say, "Hey, can I come in your house?" You're gonna get told no, right?
Be smooth with it, right?
Yeah. So my go-to every time, like I said, I carry around forms, the actual paper cards that I fill out with the homeowner. And I like it because I can leave them something physical. It's almost like an appointment reminder, right? Because I write on there like appointment time, appointment date. If I'm not doing it same day, then I'll write, tomorrow, 5 p.m., whatever. And then I'll take a picture of that with my phone and then hand them a copy of it so they can like hang it on their fridge or whatever. So that's something I would recommend. And then number 2, it just gives you the reason, like I said, to get in the home. Hey, so I always like make it kind of awkward, like fumble around. So okay, so yeah, it's just these forms I have to fill out. It's super quick. Do you mind if I borrow just the corner of the table with you? Do you want me to take my shoes off? So being super assumptive with it. And then if you say that, they're not saying yes. Like if they say no, you're just walking in with your shoes, right? If they say yes, then you're taking your shoes off. It's not, can I come in? It's, do you want me to take my shoes on or off? So that's what I do. Just have a good reason to get inside the home so it doesn't like seem weird. But yeah, if it's just like, oh, I need something to write on, then a lot of people will let you inside the home. And then once you're in, yeah, you're solidifying an appointment, you're building some rapport, and then you're shooting for a same day too. Makes it a lot easier to get same day appointments if you already got inside their home.
Some solar pros worry about leaving something behind. It gives the homeowner ability to cancel. Is that something you worry about or happens when you leave a confirmation appointment reminder?
Yeah, I mean, it can happen, but I don't actually leave my phone number on there. It's just a form. So it says like it has our company on it, right? But it doesn't have my phone number on it.
There you
So
go.
yeah, I guess my thoughts are with that is if it's like inconvenient for me to go back to that appointment, then I'll always confirm it. But if it's an appointment that's I'm going to be in that area anyways, and I could just continue knocking if they no show me, then I won't confirm it. I'll just show up. So that's kind of my thoughts on it. But yeah, what I do a lot of times too is just like text them while you're with the homeowner. Say, hey Joe, I'll send you. I use Rep Card. Got this shirt on.
Yeah, I
So
represent Rip Card too. What's up?
yeah. Yeah. Rep Card is good for anyone that's not using that. So I use that and I just
Love
send
Rep
them
Card.
like, yeah, my digital card, right? So they have that. And then I say, hey, do you mind sending me like an emoji, just a thumbs up back so I have your number too and know it's you? Because if you can start that text communication with them
Smart.
and
I
they're already
like that.
comfortable, then yeah, it's going to be a lot easier. So yeah, I don't know. If you think they're going to cancel on you, then yeah, solidify it more and then try to do it like same day. But
So
if you think
Eddie has a question on the same thing. Do you ever close the door behind you after getting in the home? Do you just close it and be like, we got you? Or do you like leave it open and they close it?
That's a good question. I think I close. Well, I think I say, hey, do you want me to close the door? I don't know. I think I ask them and then
It's
I'll just,
assumptive, right? It's assumptive.
yeah, I'll just walk in. But well, yeah, whatever.
Hey, we're running out of time, Taylor. I really appreciate you, but I really want to know before we let you go, what's next for you, man? Like you're so young, you've done so much already, podcast. So I can just see like a big future for you. No pun intended. I know your organization's future, but like talk about what's next for you, Taylor, man.
Well, yeah, I'm not so young anymore, man. We're getting these young guys. Me and you, Joe, we're the old guys in the industry now. Even though I got the baby face, I'm 28, man. I'm getting old.
Same age, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, that's funny. I feel like the old man in our office right now because we got all these like 21-year-olds that are just, hustling like crazy and closing tons of deals. But yeah, for me, I think the big thing is we just want, I'll talk a little bit about what we got going on at Solarpreneur. Guys want to go check it out. So we're launching an app. It's actually available now on the App Store. It's called Society. So it's our training platform. And the idea behind it is I tried to make it something that's not like, it's not like competing with Solar Academy. It's not competing with Mike O'Donnell's course or Knockstars. I try to have it be more something like complimentary, really just feature you guys. And then I have my trainings on there too. I have my videos and stuff we put on there. But really, it's something that we're trying to get all the solar coaches and a lot of the content all in one place and then feature it. So I know we have some the Solar Academy stuff. We have Jake Hess's, some of his roof training on there. We have some of the Knockstar stuff on there. It's not like we're putting the whole course on the platform, but guys can go on there and like sample and really just get like just kind of like bite-sized training and experience all the different trainers and good coaches and good content we have in the industry. Because that's what's cool now is, like I was telling you before, Joe, at first when I started in solar, people were super kind of like hesitant to share what they're learning, share trainings and stuff like that. But what's awesome now with what you and Jake are doing, like Solar Academy, with what Knockstar is doing, Sam Taggart, these guys, there's so much content out there. There's so much good training that really guys should have no excuse to not go and get good training now, because it's out there. You just have to go find it. So that's what we're trying to do with our platform we just launched. So if guys want to download it, it's called Society. And yeah, they can go down. I guess I'll spell it Solciety. It's on the App Store.
On the screen there. I wrote it on the screen. Is that correct?
I don't see it on my screen.
Oh, sorry, yes.
Wait. Okay. Yeah, I see it. Yeah, that's it. Yeah. Now I see it. Yeah, so that's the app. You can go download it. And then, yeah, like I said, it just has kind of bite-sized tidbits of trainings where guys can go sample a lot of different content. And then there's a paid version in there too, where they get more personalized coaching from just different coaches on the platform. So that's what we got going on. We're launching that. And yeah, just trying to give back. Because like I said, when I started in the industry, there wasn't a lot of training. And especially I was at a smaller company. There wasn't like, super I guess credible sources, not top closers or anything, sharing their training. So that's what we're trying to do, is just give everyone access to that and really have what I didn't have when I started out, which is a platform you can just go on and train every day and learn from the best. It's kind of like a YouTube idea, but with solar videos on there and content they can go check out. So yeah, that's what's next for us. And yeah, keeping the podcast going. We got some exciting guests coming on. We got Andy Frisella, I'm going out to interview here in a couple months. So he's going to be on the show. Pretty big guest. And obviously Solar Joe, he was the best. He's probably one of the best guests we had on. So go listen to that if you haven't already. That's, can't miss content right there. Box office. So go check that out. But yeah, just excited to continue connecting and growing in the industry and closing deals. So yeah, that's what we got going on.
Yeah, it was awesome being a guest on your podcast, man. It was fun. First of all, it was great talking to you. But then a lot of people reached out to me too, asking for advice and enjoyed the show. So you're doing great things. You're doing big things, not just for yourself, but everybody you have on that platform. So I really appreciate you. I appreciate you coming on. If anybody in the audience wants to reach out to you, what's the best way to reach out to you? And any last thoughts, Taylor?
Yeah, cool. Yeah, you can hit me up on Facebook, Instagram. Trying to be more active on there. I wasn't super active on social media a couple months ago, but trying to be more active on that. So yeah, shoot me a DM, hit me up, just Taylor Armstrong on both of those. And then obviously a podcast you can go download. It's the Solarpreneur. You can download it anywhere where podcasts can be found. And yeah, so that's the easiest way to connect with me. And then last thoughts. Yeah, I would just say surround yourself with quality people. That's what we're all about. They say you're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with, right? So today you were spending time with Taylor Armstrong, the Solarpreneur, and Solar Joe, the Objection guy. Can't get better than that, right? I mean, come on. So surround yourself with the best. That's another, I guess, last thought I would have, is that's something that held me back for a while, is I was going out with guys that were lazy, that didn't really want to work as much. And that even if you think you're super motivated, that bleeds into what you're doing. So I would just say be cautious with who you're spending your time with. Go get with people that are like-minded, maybe join a mastermind, get in our coaching group, get in Solar Academy, and just surround yourself with those high-level people, because that's going to help you level up yourself. So anyways, thanks for having me on, Joe. This is awesome.
Man, I really appreciate it. We got one more comment. I think my mom commented here. Solar Joe is the man.
That's awesome. My mom never hops on my show. That's awesome.
It works every time. I get the best comments like that.
Yeah.
Hey, man, it's been amazing. I really appreciate you getting on here. Right, everybody watching, we still have another Solar Pro. We're going to the end of the year with 10 more or 9 more now awesome Solar Pros, solar guests. Next week, we got JC Rangel, who is a beast, networking beast, like solar closer, team oriented, everything you can think of. This guy is amazing. So I'm really excited to talk to him next week. But Taylor, again, you are the man. I'd love to have you on. We definitely got to work together, talk more, and figure things out together, man. It was nice talking to you, bro.
Let's go. Thanks for having me on, Joe. This is awesome. Keep up the good work.
You too. Peace.
Peace.